one of my intentions has been to forgive everyone that's ever done hurt to me. And not only that, but ask that they be blessed, anyone who feels angry at me for me having done something to them. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That whatever they're feeling towards me, that also be healed. And so I have this intention, this prayer, each and every day, and I'm chanting the forgiveness mantra. Did I ever share the forgiveness mantra?
No, what is it?
Om Kshama. Om
Om?
Kshama. Kshama.
And
Kshama means forgiveness in Sanskrit.
Oh, in Sanskrit. Oh.
Om
Om.
Kshama.
Shama.
Kshama.
Shama.
So every day
Shama.
I'm chanting on my mala 108 times, thinking about even some people that maybe I have a little bit of a hardness towards them still, because it doesn't have to be like real anger towards someone. It could just be very sort of like a light, like irritation at them for something that they did, like they didn't respect me, or they rejected me, or they canceled on me, or whatever it was, whatever little bit, because there's just these little bits, and I chant for those parts of my heart to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
I love that prayer so much. Now that I've been doing it every
Can you
day.
say it again?
Om Kshama. Kshama.
Kashama. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
with the K.
Om Kashama. I was
Yeah.
wondering how do you say that?
Om Kshama.
Kashama.
Yeah, exactly. You've got it.
Shama.
Yeah. Such that prayer is one of the favorites I've had now that I've done it and it's been tough because of that prayer. I mentioned this too. Certain things would happen to test how good I'm at forgiving.
Right.
Like it's no joke. Because then it says, oh, well, God says, well, or say the universe says, well, you want to learn how to establish forgiveness with people. Well, then I'm going to put a person who says something or does something that really hurts your feelings, and then see how long your hurt sticks. And when I notice my hurt, immediately I'm working on myself. Immediately. Because I can feel it. And that's the first step, right? First step is just to notice, ouch. And then immediately I say, please God, don't let me feel resentment towards them for any longer than need be. I want to be able to forgive them immediately. And it does often take some time, maybe even a couple of days, but I have that intention, and then it doesn't stick too long. Now, something that that did something harsh to me before may have stuck with me for a week, and I would keep remembering and kind of replaying the memory in my mind, like, man, they did that, and I don't like what they did. I gotta kind of get into a complaining mode. When you're upset at someone when you're complaining about them. Now, there's a difference also between complaining versus processing. So if I'm talking to a friend and I'm talking about something that someone did for me, now I'm talking to the friend in order to process the issue that I have with that person who I'm complaining about, so to speak. But there's a big difference versus me complaining just to complain's sake and hoping maybe that they'll agree with me and they'll also complain about that person. Because it could easily get into this complaining fest where the people are feeding on each other. Do you see what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
Easily, and a lot of people, and then that just turns into gossip. That just turns into gossip. And gossip's just not good for anyone. It's not healthy for the two people who are complaining and putting down the person who was mean or whatever. And it's also not even good for the person who you're criticizing, because your energy also goes towards them. And that person can feel it subtly, even if they're living 1,000 miles away. They can still feel, just as if you forgive someone in your heart, that person gets affected 1,000 miles away. Now that's something. that person feels that love when you forgive them. Right? So then imagine forgiving the entire world. That's the purpose of my prayer. Now I realize that it's a big prayer. I understand it's a big thing. But, as many people kind of already know this, my guide has been Jesus. And Jesus' main teaching has been forgiveness. Or one could say awakening of the heart. Awakening of the heart occurs through a powerful ability to forgive. You were going to say something?
No.
Yeah. So awakening of the heart, it's. I realize it's not so easy, and that's why I use the mantras also. Because some people could try to spend a lifetime forgiving something that someone did that was really cruel to them and never quite get over it. They're still hurt and bothered.
Oh, yes.
They just can't quite do it.
People do that all the time.
So
they hold grudges and then don't see those people.
Grudges, and they'll just cut that person off completely. Yeah. Yes. And just don't want any. Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of examples like that. And that's how a person becomes bitter, is when they can't forgive. And they think that,
And if you don't forgive one person, you're going to not forgive lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
And you just start stacking them up.
Mm-hmm. And it becomes heavy in the heart.
Yeah, it's not good.
And a person loses their joy for life, honestly. A person will lose relationships, because if you haven't forgiven people, you bring that lack of forgiveness into any relationship, and it could be even intimate relationships. You wonder, why am I not getting close with this person and having a loving, deep relationship with them? But if you haven't forgiven, how can you become close with someone? A person who has a clear, crystal heart can have an amazing relationship with so many people because they just love. They can forgive quickly. And they're willing to go into a loving relationship with the risk of getting hurt. God, that gives me chills just thinking about that. That just kind of came to me. So, a person who hasn't forgiven will often avoid intimate or close relationships with others for fear that next person might hurt their feelings. Right? And so, subtly in their heart, they're pushing people away. So it's harder to develop a loving, close connection with people. Harder to develop friends and harder to develop romantic relationships and so on and so forth. So, and then the person who has forgiven so many people within their heart and then willing fearlessly to go into loving relationships, even if the person betrays them and breaks their heart, that's a powerful person. That's a powerful love. I admire those people so much, willing to risk their heart being shattered by a betrayal of someone who, let's say, maybe they stole something, end up stealing, or they end up cheating on them, or some sort of betrayal. The willingness to go through that, amazing. And not very common, because generally speaking, we don't want to get hurt again. Once you get betrayed once, to bring your heart back and willing to go through so-called betrayal again, incredible person who's going to do that. But that's a person who believes in love, who hasn't become cynical about the world, hasn't become jaded towards people.
Yeah.
That's a person who can become more innocent, like a child. Mm-hmm. And honestly, as you go through more relationships, you develop wisdom anyway. And you can detect if a person is a betrayer or a liar or a cheater. Sooner or later, you...
Sometimes.
Yeah. As you develop, what happens is this. You develop an eye to be able to see through people. You see people's issues. Now that takes a lot of purification on your part to be able to develop that, but you will develop that if you work on yourself. if you don't work on yourself, you can be blind. You can be blindsided to people and not understand their issues. The value of understanding people's issues is that we don't get so surprised when they end up doing something mean or thoughtless or careless or uncaring or disrespectful, because we get them. We understand them. If we don't, we get blindsided and hurt because we didn't expect that it would come from them. That's interesting. So understanding people, having wisdom, a sort of, there's a word for it, a sense of people, that understanding is helpful for two reasons. One is we don't get so surprised or shocked or hurt if they do act in a certain way, because we already know that those characteristics are built inside them. So helpful. And then the second thing is we develop compassion for them, because we know that they have that deep-rooted issue in them that's hard for them. They just automatically do that thing and they can't help it. And you were talking to me about someone who, had a particular issue where they can't hold back.
Yeah.
And so then we have to be more conscious than them.
Right.
Because if they're not going to be conscious...
And it's easy to slip in.
Yes. If they can't be conscious, we have more responsibility to be conscious in that relationship than they do. Because we're working on our spiritual path. That's why a spiritual person has a lot of responsibility.
Right.
Other people, they don't know what they're doing.
They get off because they don't.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do know you're on the spiritual path, then you get off, it's rocky.
It's rocky, yeah. So then you have to remember, okay, get back on my path, become more aware of my reactions, become more understanding of where people are at, and then continue to work on ourselves. And you're right, that rockiness is tough. I don't want to go back to that rocky road of being ignorant about my own reactions, because my reactions used to be so automatic, and I didn't even know I was reacting, and I was being mean to people, and I didn't even know I was being mean. And so my emotions and my issues were getting out of control. That was not pleasant at all.
No.
I would rather be conscious, aware of my issues, so I can work on them. So yes, I want to take responsibility for myself, and if I have to be more conscious than people, I will. Definitely.